The night folds gently around you like a soft blanket, the world outside fading into a slow, peaceful hush. The hum of distant noise begins to dissolve. A faint car, the ticking of a clock, the quiet rhythm of your breathing. You close your eyes and feel the air still itself. You are no longer here in the noise of the present. You are drifting backward, softly, weightlessly, into another time, another rhythm. This is a history sleep story, a quiet journey through time meant not to fill your mind, but to rest it. Every word moves slowly, every image unfurls like a breath of calm air. Tonight's story asks a simple question. Could you survive as a blacksmith in 800 AD? The answer is less important than the journey, because what you'll find there is stillness, the kind born from work, fire, and patience. Take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. You are traveling now, not in a rush but in a quiet glide through centuries. The air around you changes. The hum of electricity fades. The modern world melts away like a tide pulling back from the shore. When the mist clears, you stand at the edge of a small medieval village. The year is roughly 800 AD. The air is cool and heavy with the scent of pine, soil, and wood smoke. You can hear the muffled chatter of early morning voices. A woman calling softly to her child. A rooster crowing once, half-heartedly, into the fog. And then you hear it, that sound, deep and steady, like the pulse of the earth itself. Clang, hiss, clang, hiss. It is the blacksmith's forge, already alive with flame before the sun has risen. You walk toward it slowly, your feet pressing into damp ground, your breath visible in the cold air. The village is small, only a few huts, smoke curling from low chimneys, fields lying silent beyond. Yet every sound here feels alive, each one soaked in the texture of history. As you move closer, you see the forge, a squat stone hut, its roof darkened with years of smoke. Inside, the fire glows with an orange heart, throwing light across the blackened walls. Sparks leap upward and disappear into the haze. A man stands over the anvil, arms strong and dark with soot, his tunic clinging to him in the heat. Each swing of his hammer sends a ringing note into the still morning, echoing against the trees. You stop just inside the doorway. The warmth hits your skin first, followed by the smell, metal and ash, sharp and earthy. It feels ancient, grounding. The blacksmith glances up for only a moment. His eyes are calm, reflective. He nods in greeting and without a word returns to his work. The rhythm continues, steady, patient, endless. Clang, hiss, clang, hiss. You watch the metal glow, the fire breathe, the hammer rise and fall. There is no hurry here, no rush, only purpose. You realize this rhythm, this gentle repetition, is a kind of meditation. Each strike, each breath, a slow surrender to time itself. You can feel your heartbeat sinking to the sound. Your breathing slows. The air grows warmer, heavier. This is how life once was. Unhurried, quiet, illuminated by the soft dance of firelight. The forge becomes your world. Its sound, its glow, its warmth wrap around you until you forget where you are, or even when. The past doesn't feel distant now. It feels near, close enough to touch, and as the hammer strikes again, you realize you are not just a visitor here. You are part of this stillness, part of this memory, part of this story. Soft pause, embers crackle, wind sighs faintly outside. Breathe in again. Let the warmth fill you. The story has begun, and the modern world has slipped quietly away. The blacksmith's movements become your world now, a quiet rhythm of effort and breath. His hammer rises and falls with the calm certainty of someone who has done this for years. maybe decades. There is no rush in his motion, no impatience in his eyes. He works as though time has forgotten him. Each spark that flies from the anvil glows for a heartbeat, then fades softly into the dark. It's a language of light and sound, one that speaks not in words, but in rhythm. You watch the glowing metal change shape under his touch, slowly, steadily, obediently. The fire hums like a living thing, breathing in as the bellows draw air and sighing as the flames swell. The air smells thick with iron and heat. You can feel it against your face, a dry, pulsing warmth that lulls you deeper into calm. Outside, faint morning light begins to filter through the mist. The grey of dawn paints the wooden beams in pale silver. From the nearby cottages, smoke curls lazily into the sky. A child's laughter echoes from somewhere down the dirt path, soft and fleeting. The world outside the forge is just beginning to stir. But in here, time has its own rhythm. Slower, older, quieter. You sit on a small wooden stool by the wall, hands resting loosely on your knees. The stone floor beneath you is cool, grounding. You can hear every sound clearly. The hiss of the fire, the whisper of the hammer, the steady exhale of breath. The blacksmith pauses to wipe the sweat from his brow. He looks up, meets your gaze, and smiles faintly. Not the smile of greeting, but of quiet understanding. There is something timeless in that look, something that says, this is what life is meant to be. Simple, steady, alive. You breathe in slowly, matching his rhythm. The air feels heavy with peace. The flames flicker and dance in slow motion. You can almost count the sparks as they rise, as though each one carries a memory of 1,000 forgotten lives. The builders, the warriors, the farmers, the nameless men and women who shape their world with quiet endurance. For a moment, you close your eyes. The sounds around you blend together, hammer, fire, breath, into a soft, hypnotic pulse. It's not noise, but a lullaby of creation. This is how peace sounds in another age. When you open your eyes again, the light outside has changed. It's brighter now. The full morning stretching over the fields. You can see the faint outlines of the village through the doorway. A woman carrying a pail of water. A few chickens pecking at the ground. The far-off shimmer of the river. Life moves slowly here, with the calm certainty of people who have no need to hurry. The blacksmith reaches for a new piece of metal, placing it carefully into the fire. You hear it hiss and glow, turning from dull grey to a fierce golden red. His hammer lifts again, and the song resumes. Clang, hiss, clang, hiss. Each sound echoes deep within you. You realize how soothing it is. This balance between effort and ease, strength and gentleness. The forge isn't loud or harsh. It's steady, like rain against a roof. You let your mind drift. You imagine what it would feel like to live this way. Rising with the dawn, working with your hands, creating something real, tangible, and lasting. A world without screens, without noise. Only the hum of fire, the whisper of wind, the heartbeat of your own quiet persistence. The warmth deepens. Your eyelids grow heavier. The fire hums like a lullaby. In this moment, surrounded by iron and light, you understand something simple and ancient. That peace doesn't come from silence, but from rhythm. From the sound of a world at work, you breathe again, slow and steady. The fire flickers lower. The forge softens into shadow. Outside, the village begins to move. Footsteps, voices, the creak of a cart. But inside, you remain still, cocooned in warmth and calm. The blacksmith works. The morning unfolds. and you drift softly between thought and dream. A long pause, faint sound of coals crackling, birds waking outside. The day has begun in 800 AD, but for you, the night continues, deep, slow, and the morning settles into its rhythm, soft and deliberate. The air outside the forge is cool and damp, carrying the scent of wet grass and smoke. You step out, leaving behind the steady glow of the fire. The light of dawn filters through a thin fog that wraps around the village like a pale blanket. You breathe in deeply. The air feels different here, older somehow. It smells of earth, wood, and life lived close to the land. You stand still for a moment, listening. The sounds are small but rich. The gentle clatter of wooden buckets, the low murmur of distant voices, the creak of wagon wheels turning over damp soil. A dog barks once, then falls silent. Somewhere in the distance you hear the faint bleating of goats. It is a peaceful world, unhurried, steady as the rising sun. The village stretches before you, a small cluster of wooden houses, their roofs thatched with straw, their walls built from timber and clay. Each one leans slightly, shaped by weather and time. Thin curls of smoke rise from the chimneys, disappearing into the grey sky. The air glows faintly gold where sunlight touches it. The path beneath your feet is uneven, scattered with puddles from last night's rain. You hear your footsteps in the mud, soft, rhythmic, grounding. Beside you, your guide, the blacksmith, wipes his hands on a cloth and gestures toward the village. His voice is quiet and deep, steady as the sound of his hammer. "Come," he says, though the word feels more like a breath than a command. There's much to see if you look slowly. You follow him down the path. The world opens in small, beautiful fragments. A woman stooping to gather herbs by her doorway. A man splitting firewood beside a pile of stacked logs. A group of children chasing each other across a field dotted with yellow flowers. Their laughter carries softly through the mist. There is no rush in their movement, no weight of hurry or noise. Every action feels like part of a greater rhythm. The turning of the seasons, the rising of the sun, the steady breath of life itself. The blacksmith pauses at a small well. He lowers a wooden bucket into the water, the rope creaking softly. "Everything here depends on patience," he says. "Fire, earth, water, air. We live between them, not against them." You watch as he draws the bucket up, water spilling over the rim, catching the early light like liquid glass. He takes a slow drink, then passes it to you. The water is cool and clear. Its taste simple and clean, as if drawn not from a well, but from the heart of the world itself. As you drink, your gaze drifts over the landscape. Beyond the village, low hills roll gently toward a dark forest. The trees rise tall and close together, their leaves trembling in the soft wind. Birds dart between branches, flashes of brown and white against the green. Somewhere deeper in the woods, a stream whispers over stones. The blacksmith follows your eyes and smiles faintly. "That's where the iron lies," he says, "hidden in the hills. We dig it out when we need it, and we give back to the earth when we're done." You walk again, past small gardens where vegetables grow in neat rows, past barns that smell of hay and animals. Every part of life here feels connected, woven together in a quiet harmony. You pass a small wooden chapel at the edge of the square, its single bell swaying gently in the morning breeze. A few villagers bow their heads in prayer inside, their voices a low hum. You linger at the doorway, listening. The sound is soft, almost like the rhythm of the forge. Another song of faith, of patience, of repetition. When you step back outside, The sun has lifted higher. The fog thins, and light begins to touch the thatched rooftops, turning them to gold. The blacksmith walks beside you in silence now. He doesn't need to speak. The village itself does the talking. Every creak, every whisper, every small movement tells a story of endurance and simplicity. You pause by a fence and lean against the wood. The air feels lighter, your body more at ease. The modern world feels impossibly far away. Here, there is only this: breath, warmth, and the quiet promise of another day beginning. The blacksmith glances at you, eyes soft with understanding. "You're breathing slower now," he says with a faint smile. "Good. That's how we live here. Slowly. The world has time enough for everything." You nod, feeling the truth of it settle deep inside you. The forge, the fire, the fields, the people, all of it moves in a rhythm that asks nothing more than to be noticed. Soft pause. Faint breeze. A bird sings somewhere in the distance. You look once more toward the hills, where smoke curls upward like a memory. You can almost feel the warmth of the forge again, the glow against your skin. And as the village continues its quiet waking, you realize you've stepped not only into the past, but into peace itself. As the morning unfolds, the hum of the village deepens, not into noise, but into life. The mist has nearly lifted now, revealing roofs patched with straw and smoke curling like ribbons into the blue. You walk beside the blacksmith down a narrow lane lined with fences of woven branches. The road smells faintly of iron and wood sap, of dew still clinging to the grass. The forge's warmth lingers behind you, replaced now by the freshness of open air. Chickens cluck softly as they peck at the earth near doorsteps. A cart creaks by, pulled by a single ox with patient eyes. Its driver nods in greeting, a slow, silent acknowledgement that needs no words. Here, everything feels deliberate. Every step, every gesture, every glance carrying the same unspoken calm. The blacksmith gestures toward the center of the settlement, where the market square begins to stir. "This is where the world meets," he says quietly. "Traders from the coast, farmers from the valley, all come here when the sun rises high." You follow him into the square, where stalls of wood and cloth stand in uneven rows. The first merchants are setting up, spreading their wares on rough tables, baskets of grain, clay jugs, hides from the hunt. The smell of freshly baked bread drifts through the air, sweet and earthy, mingling with the faint scent of smoke. You pause to watch a woman weave cloth on a wooden loom. Her hands move steadily, rhythmically, a quiet song of motion and purpose. The threads catch the morning light, glowing gold and crimson. She smiles when she notices you watching, her expression soft and kind. "Every piece takes days," she says in a low, measured voice, "but each one tells its own story." The blacksmith nods toward her work. "Like iron," he murmurs. "You shape it, and it shapes you in return." His tone holds the weight of experience, not pride, but peace born of repetition, of knowing that creation itself is its own reward. You continue walking through the market. A group of children runs past, laughing, their bare feet splashing through shallow puddles. Nearby, a farmer sells vegetables laid out neatly on a cloth. Onions, beets, and turnips freshly pulled from the soil. The smell of damp earth clings to them. He greets you with a slow nod. "Good harvest this year," he says, his voice gentle, as though afraid to disturb the calm of the morning. The blacksmith stops by a potter's stall. The craftsman's hands are grey with clay, shaping a bowl on a wheel that spins almost silently. The sound of the turning stone is hypnotic, like the slow rhythm of a lullaby. You watch as his fingers smooth the edges, steady and sure. The ball takes form as if growing from his palms. He doesn't look up as he speaks. Every vessel holds more than water, he says. It holds time. The blacksmith smiles faintly at this. Two craftsmen speaking in a language only they seem to understand. The sun has risen higher now, glinting off metal tools and the faint shimmer of dew still caught on the grass. Villagers move through the square in soft conversation, voices overlapping like waves. A baker calls gently to a customer. A boy helps his mother carry a basket of fish. A pair of travellers lead their horses to drink from a trough near the well. The world feels full but never crowded. Busy in the most peaceful sense, alive but unhurried. The blacksmith turns to you. You see, he says, every person here carries their own fire, some in their hands, some in their hearts. Together they keep the world turning. You nod slowly, feeling the truth of it. There is strength here, but also tenderness. A quiet endurance woven into every task, every face. You both walk toward the edge of the square, where the path winds toward open fields. The wind moves softly through tall grass, carrying the scent of distant pine. The blacksmith walks a little ahead, his shadow long in the sunlight. We work when the day is bright, he says, and rest when the stars return. That's all there is to it. For a moment, you imagine yourself living here, the weight of a hammer in your hand, the hum of metal cooling in water, the soft ache of honest work. The rhythm feels natural, almost comforting. In this time, every action has purpose. Every day is a circle that begins and ends in peace. A bell rings faintly from the chapel tower, its sound drifting over the rooftops. It marks the passing of another hour, though no one hurries. You notice how even time itself seems slower here, softened by distance and simplicity. The world feels balanced, caught in the quiet perfection of its own rhythm. As you turn back toward the forge, the blacksmith looks at you with calm eyes. You're learning, he says quietly, not just how we live, but how we breathe. His voice fades into the low hum of the village around you. The sound of life here is not loud or sharp. It's steady. The whisper of wind, the crackle of fire, the slow turning of a wheel. You take one last look at the market, the fields, the faces. Everything seems touched by light, by warmth, by a timeless patience. And as you walk once more toward the sound of the forge, you feel it, that same rhythm settling into you, slowing your thoughts, deepening your breath. The world of 800 AD feels both impossibly far away and intimately close, as though it has been waiting here, quietly, for you to return. The morning light spills through the cracks in the forge walls, painting faint lines across the floor of packed earth. The air carries the faint scent of charcoal and heated iron, soft now, not harsh or heavy, but familiar, like the rhythm of breath itself. The blacksmith stands at his workbench, sleeves rolled, his movements slow and deliberate. You can hear the faint echo of the bellows, the soft hiss of air feeding a small fire that glows like a heartbeat. Outside, the village hums with distant life, the lowing of cattle, the creak of a cartwheel, a child's laughter carried on the wind. But inside the forge, all sound narrows to this quiet rhythm. Breath, flame, and steel. You stand beside the blacksmith as he works, watching as he lifts a half-finished blade from the coals. Its edges glow red, alive with light. He turns it in his hands with a craftsman's tenderness, the way a poet might turn a phrase, slowly with care, knowing each moment matters. He places the blade on the anvil, raises his hammer, and strikes. The sound is sharp, but somehow still gentle, each impact balanced between control and power. Sparks fly and fade like fleeting stars, illuminating his face for a heartbeat before they vanish into shadow. He speaks softly, almost as if to himself. Iron remembers, he says. If you strike too hard, it resists. If you strike with patience, it yields. You watch as he shapes the blade, each motion flowing into the next with a kind of meditative grace. The steady rhythm of hammer and breath begins to slow your own heartbeat, pulling you deeper into the scene. The air feels warm, grounding. You can almost feel the texture of the metal firm, rough, alive. When the blade has cooled, the blacksmith lowers it into a trough of water. The hiss fills the small room, and a soft mist rises around you, curling through the golden light. It smells faintly of iron and ash, not unpleasant, but ancient, like the scent of time itself. The blacksmith sets the blade aside and wipes his brow with the back of his hand. Each piece takes a day, he murmurs, but it lasts a lifetime. He gestures for you to follow him outside, where the forge opens to a small yard. The sun has climbed higher now, casting light over the fields beyond. You walk together toward a wooden bench beneath an old tree. The blacksmith sits, motioning for you to join him. He hands you a small cup of warm barley drink, earthy and simple. You sip slowly, the taste grounding you in this quiet moment. From where you sit, you can see the village spreading outward like a living map. Cottages clustered around the square, thin trails of smoke rising into the sky, figures moving slowly from place to place. A shepherd leads his flock toward the meadow, their bells faint and melodic in the distance. The world feels open and peaceful, each sound blending softly into the next. The blacksmith leans back, his gaze distant but calm. When I was a boy, he says, I thought strength meant lifting the heaviest hammer. Now I know it means lifting it every day and finding peace in the weight. He smiles faintly, his eyes tracing the horizon. You learn not to fight the day. You work with it, and it works with you. His words hang in the air, simple and wise. You feel yourself breathing slower, matching the rhythm of the moment, the slow sway of the tree branches above, the distant hum of bees in the fields, the low whisper of wind against the forge wall. A young apprentice approaches, carrying a basket of charcoal. His hands are dark with soot, but his face carries a quiet pride. For the afternoon fire, he says softly. The blacksmith nods, his expression warm but stern. Good, he replies. Patience, Edrin. Always patience. The boy nods, setting the basket down carefully. He glances at you with curious eyes, perhaps wondering if you too are learning the craft. The blacksmith rises, stretching his shoulders. We'll go to the river, he says. Every tool must be tested, and every craftsman must know the flow of water. You follow him along a worn path that winds past cottages and hedges, the air rich with the scent of fresh grass and cooling stone. The village slowly gives way to open land, where the fields ripple gently under the morning sun. As you walk, you notice small details, a wheel left leaning against a fence, the shimmer of insects in the light, the soft rustle of grain swaying in the wind. Everything here feels unhurried, like the world itself has chosen to move at the pace of breath. The river comes into view at last, a broad, gentle stream that glimmers silver in the sun. Its banks are lined with reeds that sway and whisper with each passing breeze. The blacksmith kneels by the edge, dipping his hands into the cool water. The river teaches balance, he says. Too much force and it floods. Too little and it dries. You must flow with it, not against it. He takes out a small piece of iron, the one he forged earlier, and places it into the water. Tiny ripples spread outward, catching the light. You kneel beside him, watching the reflection of the sky tremble and shift with the current. The sound of the water, soft and endless, fills the air like a lullaby. For a long time, neither of you speak. You simply sit there, feeling the rhythm of the world, the whisper of the river, the murmur of the wind, the steady pulse of life all around you. It's easy to imagine this place never changing, existing beyond time, holding its quiet truths beneath the surface of history. The blacksmith finally stands, brushing the dust from his hands. You see, he says, surviving here isn't about strength. It's about rhythm, about knowing when to strike and when to rest. He turns toward the path home, his silhouette framed by sunlight. Come, he adds softly, there's still much to learn before the day fades. And as you follow him back toward the village, the sound of the river fades behind you, replaced once again by the gentle chorus of the world at work. The hammer's echo, the distant laughter, and the quiet song of life unfolding, one breath at a time. By midday, the forge breathes with renewed life. The blacksmith's hammer rings in slow, steady patterns, echoing like a heartbeat through the open air. Smoke curls upward from the chimney in thin threads that dissolve into the sunlight. Around him, the world hums in its steady way. The murmur of voices from the market beyond, the rhythmic creak of the bellows, the soft rustle of wind threading through the doorway. You stand nearby, feeling the heat radiate from the hearth. The smell of burning charcoal and hot metal fills the space, sharp yet strangely comforting. The blacksmith works without hurry, pausing between strikes as though listening to the story the iron wants to tell. Each motion has weight, but also grace. A dance of rhythm, patience, and strength. He turns to you between strokes, his brow glistening with a faint sheen of sweat. A smith's fire, he says softly, isn't just heat, it's breath. The forge lives because we feed it, and it gives back. You nod, watching as he lifts the glowing metal and sets it upon the anvil once more. The sound that follows is deep and resonant, a low chime that seems to settle into your chest rather than your ears. Outside, the afternoon light shifts, spilling through the open doorway in golden hues. Dust motes drift lazily through the beam of sunlight, each one turning and fading like a thought dissolving into sleep. The blacksmith dips the blade into the trough, and the hiss fills the air. Gentle, endless. Steam rises and wraps around both of you, a curtain of soft grey mist. After a moment, he rests the hammer against the wall and wipes his hands on his apron. Come, he says, it's time to visit the village again. His voice is low and calm, the kind that moves at the same pace as the world around it. You step outside, leaving the warmth of the forge behind for the softer light of afternoon. The path through the village glows beneath the sun. The smell of bread drifts from a nearby oven, and somewhere a lute plays a slow, wandering tune. You pass by the same market square as before, but now it's alive with gentle chatter. Women trade loaves for cloth. Children run between stalls. A man repairs a wooden cart, humming under his breath. The blacksmith stops to greet a friend, an old potter sitting beside a row of sun-dried clay bowls. The two men speak quietly, their words half lost beneath the hum of the market. You catch fragments of their conversation, talk of weather, of iron shipments from the next town, of a child soon to be wed. Their tones are soft, weighted with the easy friendship of people who have shared many seasons. The potter holds up one of his bowls for you to see. Its surface is smooth, painted with faint red lines that spiral toward the center. Clay and metal, he says, smiling. Both come from the earth, and both must be tamed with fire. The blacksmith chuckles, nodding. Yes, he replies, and both can break if you rush them. The two exchange a knowing glance, the quiet respect of craftsmen bound by patience. Then the blacksmith turns back to you. We'll walk toward the meadow, he says. You should see how the village breathes beyond its walls. The path winds outward, lined with wildflowers and tall grasses that brush against your hands as you pass. The sound of the forge fades, replaced by the soft buzzing of insects and the distant bleating of sheep. The air smells of sun-warmed hay and earth, grounding and clean. You walk side by side in silence for a while. The blacksmith carries a small bundle of iron scraps, pieces too small for tools, yet too precious to discard. Nothing goes to waste, he says after a moment. Even the smallest piece can become something, a clasp, a hook, a hinge. It's not about what it was, it's about what it can be. You reach a gentle hill overlooking the village. From here, you can see the rooftops shimmering in the golden light, the distant smoke curling upward, the slow figures moving through the lanes. The sight feels timeless, like a painting suspended in air. The blacksmith sits upon a flat stone and gestures for you to do the same. Below, the meadow ripples with the wind, green and endless. The sun lowers toward the horizon, its light softening into amber. When the day begins to fade, he says quietly, that's when I find the forge most beautiful. The fire glows deeper, the world outside grows still. It feels like the earth itself is exhaling. You sit together in silence, watching the light change. The sound of the village drifts upward in fragments, a dog barking, a woman's laughter, the toll of a distant bell. Each sound arrives softly, then dissolves into the air like ripples fading across water. After a while, the blacksmith rises and begins his slow walk back toward the forge. You follow, the earth cool beneath your feet. The shadows lengthen, stretching like ribbons along the path. The day is ending not with haste, but with calm surrender. When you return, the forge glows warmly against the dusk. The blacksmith rekindles the fire, feeding it with new charcoal. The flames rise, golden and alive. Every day ends the same, he says, but every spark is different. He lifts a piece of metal once more, turning it in the firelight. The glow reflects in his eyes, bright but peaceful. The air feels thick with warmth and memory. You can hear the steady rhythm of his breathing, the quiet sigh of the flames. The world outside darkens, and the first stars begin to appear. The forge hums softly, a living heart within the sleeping village. You close your eyes for a moment, listening to the sound, the pulse of creation, the whisper of ancient hands shaping the world. Time slows, thought softens. The blacksmith works on, unhurried, content beneath the vast and quiet sky. Night has settled like a slow tide over the village. The last traces of sunlight linger faintly behind the hills, where the sky burns soft gold before giving in to deep blue. Smoke from the forge drifts upward in thin silver trails, vanishing into the first shimmer of starlight. The air is cooler now, crisp, carrying the scent of iron, ash, and pine. You stand outside the forge with the blacksmith, watching as he draws the bellows one final time. The fire responds with a quiet sigh, its orange glow pulsing gently against the darkness. The anvil gleams in the faint light, edges worn smooth from years of work. Around you the world has gone still. The market is silent, the fields hushed. The only sound the occasional crackle from the coals and the whisper of night wind moving through the grass. The blacksmith wipes his hands on his apron, his movements slower now, softer. At this hour, he murmurs. The forge is more than a workshop. It's a heartbeat. The fire sleeps, but it never dies. He leans against the doorway, gazing at the dim embers. You learn to listen, he continues. Even when the world is quiet, the metal remembers your touch. You follow his gaze into the hearth. The coals glow like stars fallen to earth, their light steady but fading. It feels almost sacred. This transition between day and night, between labor and stillness. You can sense the deep peace that comes when a day's work finds its end. The blacksmith steps outside, motioning for you to walk with him. The two of you move through the darkened village, the moon rising slowly above the rooftops. Pale light spills across the ground, tracing silver lines along fences and stone walls. The path beneath your feet feels familiar now. Each turn, each sound, as though the rhythm of the place has begun to settle within you. In the distance, a faint melody drifts through the night. Someone plays a flute near the chapel, the notes light and wandering. They echo softly between the buildings, carried by the wind. The blacksmith pauses, listening. Every village has its song, he says quietly. We work, we rest, we remember. The tune changes, but the meaning stays. As you walk, you notice small windows glowing with candlelight, faint glimpses of families within. A woman folds cloth by a dim flame. A child stirs in sleep. Somewhere, a man tends to a low fire, the glow painting his face in amber hues. Every window feels like a story continuing quietly beyond view, each life unfolding gently beneath the same vast sky. You reach the edge of the village where open fields stretch under the moonlight. The air feels different here, cooler, wide, carrying the faint hum of night insects and the distant rush of the river. The blacksmith stops and looks upward. When I was young, he says, I thought the stars were sparks from a god's forge. Maybe they are. Maybe everyone is a story still being shaped. He sits on a fallen log, and you join him. The moonlight touches his face, revealing lines carved not by age, but by years of quiet endurance. He picks up a small stone and turns it in his hands. People think the forge is about strength, he says. But strength fades. What lasts is rhythm, knowing when to strike and when to let the fire rest. You listen to the slow cadence of his voice. Each word feels measured, weighted with care. The night seems to breathe in time with his speech. Wind flowing softly through the trees, the faint ripple of grass, the distant murmur of water. He looks toward the horizon, where the forest begins and speaks again. Tomorrow the day will start the same, the hammer, the fire, the sound, but every spark will be new. That's how you survive here. You don't conquer time. You flow with it. You sit together in silence for a long while. The stars above shimmer more brightly now, scattered across the sky like flecks of molten silver. Their light reflects faintly in the blacksmith's eyes. The forge, though unseen from here, still casts a faint glow behind the village. A steady reminder that warmth and work never truly disappear. Eventually, he rises, brushing dust from his hands. Come, he says softly, the night has more to show you. You follow him along the edge of the field, where fireflies drift lazily through the air, their lights blinking like tiny embers. The sound of the river grows clearer, a smooth, continuous whisper in the dark. When you reach the bank, the blacksmith kneels and places his hands in the cool water. The moonlight ripples around his fingers, bending and shimmering. The river cools the tools, he says, but it cools the spirit too. He looks up at you, smiling faintly. The day's heat must leave before morning comes. You mimic his motion, dipping your hands into the stream. The water is cold but soothing, flowing gently between your fingers. The sensation grounds you, like touching the memory of everything you've seen today. The fire, the hammer, the sound of life moving at its own slow pace. For a moment, the world feels perfectly balanced. The warmth of memory meeting the coolness of rest, the hum of the forge giving way to the hush of night. You exhale, and the breath seems to join the rhythm of the river, soft and endless. The blacksmith stands once more, his shadow long against the silver light. Now, he says, you know what it means to live by the forge, to wake with purpose, to work with care, to sleep without fear. He begins to walk back toward the village. Each step slow and certain. As you follow, the sound of the river fades behind you, replaced once again by the quiet hum of crickets and the rustle of wind through leaves. The forge awaits, dark now, but never cold. You realize the lesson he's teaching isn't about metal or flame. It's about rhythm, about living in harmony with the quiet, patient heartbeat of the world. By the time you return, the last embers have dimmed. Only a faint glow remains, pulsing like a sigh. The blacksmith rests his hammer on the table and nods toward the door. Sleep well, he says. The fire will wait. And with that, he extinguishes the final coal. The forge falls into silence, wrapped in the stillness of night. Outside, the stars gleam brighter, endless and calm. The forge sleeps now. Behind you, its faint warmth fades like a dream returning to silence. The blacksmith's tools rest in careful order, and the scent of iron lingers lightly in the night air. You step away from the workshop, following a narrow path lined with dew-dusted grass. Each footfall feels slower, softer, as if the earth itself is urging you toward calm. The moon is full tonight, silver and low, casting long ribbons of light across the valley. In its glow, the village seems transformed. Roofs shimmer pale grey, fences glow faintly, and even the river beyond gleams like a flowing mirror. The world feels still but alive, its quiet breathing matching your own. The blacksmith had spoken earlier of rhythm, the flow between fire and rest, between the making of things and the waiting for them to cool. As you walk now, you begin to feel that same rhythm in the world around you, the chirp of a lone cricket, the hush of wind in tall grass, the low murmur of distant water. Each sound arrives, lingers and fades like waves folding into one another. Ahead, the path curves gently upward, leading toward the edge of the village where an old temple stands. It has been here longer than anyone remembers, built of stone darkened by centuries of rain and smoke. The people say it was once dedicated to the god of craftsmanship, the unseen hand that guides both fire and thought. You walk slowly toward it, the air cool and sweet. The scent of night-blooming flowers mixes with the faint aroma of charcoal drifting from the sleeping forge behind you. Every breath feels grounding, steadying, like a reminder that you belong in this quiet space between wakefulness and sleep. At the base of the temple steps, a shallow bowl of oil burns beside a stone pillar. The flame flickers gently, reflecting in the polished bronze surface of a nearby gong. Its glow ripples across the carved walls. Figures of artisans, smiths and builders etched in graceful lines, their eyes half closed in eternal focus. You sit on the lowest step for a moment, resting your hands on the cool stone. The surface holds the memory of the day's heat, now fading into a soft warmth beneath your palms. A breeze moves through the nearby trees, and the leaves whisper like an ancient language. If you listen closely, it almost sounds like a story, one carried from generation to generation. You imagine the blacksmiths of centuries past, climbing these same steps after long days of labor, their bodies tired, but their spirits quiet. They would leave small offerings here, a nail perfectly shaped, a coin of pure copper, or a fragment of coal that once burned in their hearth. It wasn't prayer exactly, it was gratitude, a way of saying thank you to the rhythm of work, to the materials that shaped their lives. The ore, the fire, the hammer, the air. A faint sound draws your attention. The rustle of fabric. From within the temple, a figure steps forward, carrying a small clay lantern. It's an older man, his robe loose and simple, the color of smoke. His eyes are calm, his movements unhurried. Without speaking, he nods in greeting and places the lantern on the steps beside you. The forge, he says softly, is our teacher, but night teaches us how to listen. His voice is gentle, deepened by age and silence. He sits beside you, gazing at the moonlight spread across the valley below. Long ago, he continues, craftsmen believed the moon guided their hands. They thought its silver light entered their dreams, shaping new designs before dawn. That's why the forge was never truly dark. Even when the fire slept, the moon kept watch. You listen, his words settling over you like a soft blanket. He speaks not to instruct but to soothe, each phrase a slow ripple across calm water. When the work is done, he says, the spirit cools, like steel in the quenching trough. Only then can it hold its true shape. A silence follows, deep, comforting. You glance toward the temple door, where the glow of the interior fire flickers faintly, illuminating ancient carvings of celestial wheels and smithing tools. The place feels sacred, but simple, built not for worship of gods, but for reverence of time itself. The old man rises slowly, pressing his hand lightly to your shoulder. The path continues beyond the grove, he says. Follow it, and you'll reach the river before dawn. The water knows the world better than any book or flame. You nod, and he smiles, a slow, kind smile that seems to understand something about you without needing to ask. As he turns back toward the temple, the flame in his lantern dims until only the faintest glow remains. You stand once more and begin to walk toward the grove. The moonlight filters through the trees, dappling the ground in patches of silver and shadow. The sound of leaves rustling overhead creates a lullaby of its own, one that makes your steps lighter and your breathing slower. Beyond the trees, the air opens up again. The scent of wild mint drifts from the riverbanks ahead, cool and sharp. The night feels endless, wide, soft, eternal. Every sound, every light, every breath seems to blend into one vast, gentle rhythm. You glance back once more. The temple stands quiet, its flame still burning in the oil bowl, a single steady reminder that every ending is only a pause between breaths. Then you turn forward again and walk into the moonlit grove, calm, curious, and completely at peace. The grove gives way to open air, and before you lies the quiet river, broad and still, its surface catching the moonlight like polished silver. The sound of water is slow and rhythmic, like the steady breathing of something ancient. Each ripple carries a whisper, a secret drawn from the distant hills where the stream begins its long journey to the sea. You move closer, the grass cool beneath your feet, damp with mist. Fireflies drift lazily near the banks, their pale green light flickering in and out of sight like drifting embers. The air smells of earth and rain, with a faint sweetness of moss and mint. The river feels alive, not rushing, not pulling, just being. It reminds you of the forge again, How molten metal once moved with a similar fluid calm, glowing red before settling into strength. You realize that, in its way, the river is the earth's forge, shaping valleys, polishing stones, carrying traces of time itself. You kneel at the edge and let your fingertips brush the surface. The water is cool, like silk drawn over your skin. It glides past without resistance, inviting but never insisting. The reflection that meets your eyes is both yours and not yours, shaped by ripples, changed by light. Somewhere across the water, you hear a soft hum. It might be a voice, or perhaps just the wind tracing patterns through the reeds. You close your eyes listening. The sound grows clearer, becoming a melody, low, wordless, soothing. It's the same tune that the villagers hum at the end of the workday, a lullaby of sorts, meant to thank the night for its quiet. You let the sound guide your breath. Inhale slowly, exhale gently. The world begins to slow, not from stillness but from perfect balance. A memory stirs, not your own, but one that feels borrowed from the place itself. You can almost see it, a young blacksmith standing where you now stand, centuries ago. His hands are rough, his tunic stained with ash, yet his eyes carry the same look of peace. He has come to the river after a long day at the forge, bringing a small iron pendant, a simple circle symbolizing unity and endurance. He dips it into the river, letting the water hiss softly against the cooling metal. A tiny cloud of steam rises, swirling into the night like incense. For him, it's a ritual, not of religion, but of connection, a way to honor the balance between the fire that creates and the water that cools. You imagine what his life must have been like. The rhythm of days marked by sunrise and smoke, the satisfaction of shaping something lasting from raw ore. And though he lived 1,000 years before you, the peace he found in this act feels timeless. The song across the river fades into a hum, then into silence. Only the gentle current remains, moving with the patience of centuries. You rise and walk along the bank, following its curve. The moon reflects in shifting patterns as if leading you forward. Now and then, you pass small stone markers, offerings left by travellers and villagers. One holds a sprig of herbs, another a bit of coal. Each tells its own quiet story, reminders that people have always sought meaning in simple gestures. The air cools as the night deepens. The stars overhead are brilliant, mirrored in the water below. For a moment, it feels as if you're walking through the sky itself, suspended between reflection and reality, softer, more melodic, as if the water has learned how to sing. You sit by a smooth boulder and listen. The world around you has dissolved into whispers. The rustle of reeds, the rhythm of your breath, the faint pulse of the earth beneath your feet. You think again of the forge, of the blacksmith's fire and the cooling steel. How every tool begins with chaos, molten, wild, before settling into calm and purpose. Perhaps people are the same. Perhaps every life must pass through its own fire before finding stillness. The thought lingers, comforting in its simplicity. The stars seem to shimmer in agreement. The night feels infinite, yet somehow protective, as if every flicker of light and shadow has been placed here to watch over you. You lean back, eyes half closed, and let the steady murmur of the river cradle your mind. In that sound, time loses meaning. The world narrows to breath and heartbeat, to soft air and cool water, to the knowledge that you are both the observer and the story itself. As your eyelids grow heavier, you feel the air shift, a faint breeze carrying the scent of smoke and lavender. Somewhere ahead, the land rises again. Beyond the trees, another structure waits. a hall of wood and stone, its walls etched with stories of generations past. You rise slowly, feeling lighter, as though part of you has drifted into the water's calm current. The path ahead gleams in moonlight, calling you forward. Behind you, the river whispers a promise that peace can always be found in the balance between fire and flow. And with that quiet assurance, you begin walking once more toward the hall and the next chapter of your dreamlike journey through the year 800 AD. The river fades behind you, its whispers softening into memory as you follow the moonlit path toward the rising slope. The air grows warmer again, touched by faint traces of wood smoke and honeyed resin. Ahead, the outline of a large timber structure comes into view. Tall beams, sloped roof, carved doorposts glinting with dew. This is the Hall of Craftsmen, a place older than the village itself. In daylight, it serves as a guild house, where blacksmiths, carpenters, and weavers gather to share their craft and their stories. But at night, when the stars reign quietly above, it becomes something else entirely. A space of reflection and rest, where even the walls seem to breathe. As you approach, you notice small clay lamps burning along the outer walkway, their flames steady despite the faint breeze. Shadows dance across the carved panels, scenes of creation, of hands shaping metal, of wood bending to will and patience. Each carving glows in the flickering light, as if alive. The great door creaks open with gentle weight, revealing an interior bathed in amber glow. Lanterns hang from wooden beams, swaying slightly as if nodding in welcome. The scent of pine, beeswax, and faint soot fills the air, a blend of labor and comfort. You step inside quietly. The sound of your footsteps mingles with the low crackle of a hearth at the far end of the hall. Around it sit several figures, men and women in simple tunics, their faces calm, illuminated by firelight. Their tools rest beside them: hammers, chisels, spindles, awls, instruments of creation laid to rest like sleeping guardians. A woman looks up from where she's seated, her hair braided with thin copper wire that gleams softly. "Welcome, traveller," she says, her voice warm and even. "The night's long and the fire still burns." She gestures for you to join them. You do, sitting on a woven mat near the hearth. The warmth touches your skin, deep and soothing after the cool air of the river. The fire's rhythm feels familiar. A steady exhale, a reminder of the forge's glow earlier in your journey. The woman stirs the coals gently, and the sparks rise like golden dust. "Each of us," she says, "is shaped by what we create. The iron learns from the flame, and we learn from both." The others nod silently, their eyes reflecting the fire. One of them, an older man with a beard streaked in grey, holds a small iron ring between his fingers. "This was forged when I was young," he murmurs, "to remind me that what endures is not strength, but patience." You watch as he sets the ring on the table beside him. Its surface simple, unadorned but smooth from years of touch. Around the hall, similar tokens rest on shelves and ledges. Tiny sculptures, engraved tools, fragments of old metal that once belonged to ancestors long gone. Each piece tells a story of craft, of time, of quiet dedication. As you listen, you realize this hall is more than a meeting place. It is memory itself, bound in wood and firelight. The people here are not just artisans, but keepers of rhythm. The rhythm that links work to rest, effort to peace. The woman beside you pours something from a clay jug into a small cup and offers it. You take a sip, warm, herbal, faintly sweet. The taste is unfamiliar yet soothing, like wildflowers and smoke mingled together. It hums softly through your chest, easing every muscle, quieting your thoughts. The world outside moves fast, she says, but here we let time slow to its truest pace, the pace of breath, of heartbeat, of the turning stars. She gestures toward the open window above the hearth. Through it, the night sky stretches vast and clear, constellations shimmering like molten iron scattered across velvet. The firelight flickers in rhythm with the stars, creating a slow dance between heaven and hearth. The bearded man rises and begins to hum, a deep, resonant sound that fills the hall like the echo of an anvil strike slowed to infinity. Others join him, their voices weaving gently together until the room feels wrapped in a sound both ancient and tender. It's not quite song, not quite chant, more like the vibration of memory made audible. Your eyelids grow heavier as you listen. The hum vibrates through the wood, through the floor, through the air itself. Every sound feels purposeful, every silence kind. The woman's voice returns, now softer, almost a whisper. The forge teaches us how to live, she says, but the night teaches us how to rest. One without the other cannot endure. The fire sighs, a log settling with a quiet crackle. The humming fades, replaced by the steady rhythm of breath and ember. You feel yourself leaning slightly toward the warmth, as though drawn into the heart of the flame, not to burn, but to dissolve into calm. Your mind drifts. The carvings on the wall seem to shimmer faintly in the firelight. You imagine them coming alive, smiths and artisans moving in slow, graceful gestures, their faces serene as they work not with iron or wood, but with dreams. The woman's voice reaches you one last time before it too blends into the sound of sleep. When the fire fades, she murmurs, the story continues within you. You close your eyes, and for a moment, it feels as if the hall is breathing, inhaling, exhaling, in rhythm with your own. The warmth of the hearth lulls your body into stillness. Outside, the river hums softly in the distance, and the stars keep their silent vigil. The hall of craftsmen becomes a dream within a dream, timeless, weightless, eternal. A woman looks up from where she's seated, her hair braided with thin copper wire that gleams softly. "Welcome, traveller," she says, her voice warm and even. The night's long, and the fire still burns. She gestures for you to join them. You do, sitting on a woven mat near the hearth. The warmth touches your skin, deep and soothing after the cool air of the river. The fire's rhythm feels familiar. A steady exhale, a reminder of the forge's glow earlier in your journey. The woman stirs the coals gently, and the sparks rise like golden dust. Each of us, she says, is shaped by what we create. The iron learns from the flame, and we learn from both. The others nod silently, their eyes reflecting the fire. One of them, an older man with a beard streaked in grey, holds a small iron ring between his fingers. "This was forged when I was young," he murmurs, "to remind me that what endures is not strength, but patience." You watch as he sets the ring on the table beside him, its surface simple, unadorned but smooth from years of touch. Around the hall, similar tokens rest on shelves and ledges. Tiny sculptures, engraved tools, fragments of old metal that once belonged to ancestors long gone. Each piece tells a story of craft, of time, of quiet dedication. As you listen, you realize this hall is more than a meeting place. It is memory itself, bound in wood and firelight. The people here are not just artisans but keepers of rhythm. The rhythm that links work to rest, effort to peace. The woman beside you pours something from a clay jug into a small cup and offers it. You take a sip, warm, herbal, faintly sweet. The taste is unfamiliar yet soothing, like wildflowers and smoke mingled together. It hums softly through your chest, easing every muscle, quieting your thoughts. The world outside moves fast, she says, but here we let time slow to its truest pace, the pace of breath, of heartbeat, of the turning stars. She gestures toward the open window above the hearth. Through it, the night sky stretches vast and clear, constellations shimmering like molten iron scattered across velvet. The firelight flickers in rhythm with the stars, creating a slow dance between heaven and hearth. The bearded man rises and begins to hum, a deep, resonant sound that fills the hall like the echo of an anvil strike slowed to infinity. Others join him, their voices weaving gently together until the room feels wrapped in a sound both ancient and tender. It's not quite song, not quite chant, more like the vibration of memory made audible. Your eyelids grow heavier as you listen. The hum vibrates through the wood, through the floor, through the air itself. Every sound feels purposeful, every silence kind. The woman's voice returns, now softer, almost a whisper. The forge teaches us how to live, she says, but the night teaches us how to rest. One without the other cannot endure. The fire sighs, a log settling with a quiet crackle. The humming fades, replaced by the steady rhythm of breath and ember. You feel yourself leaning slightly toward the warmth, as though drawn into the heart of the flame, not to burn, but to dissolve into calm. Your mind drifts. The carvings on the wall seem to shimmer faintly in the firelight. You imagine them coming alive, smiths and artisans moving in slow, graceful gestures, their faces serene as they work not with iron or wood, but with dreams. The woman's voice reaches you one last time before it too blends into the sound of sleep. When the fire fades, she murmurs, the story continues within you. You close your eyes, and for a moment, it feels as if the hall is breathing, inhaling, exhaling, in rhythm with your own. The warmth of the hearth lulls your body into stillness. Outside, the river hums softly in the distance, and the stars keep their silent vigil. The Hall of Craftsmen becomes a dream within a dream, timeless, weightless, eternal. The last embers of the fire dim to a soft red glow, and a hush settles across the Hall of Craftsmen. The air feels warmer now, thick with calm. You open your eyes slowly, half expecting to find that the hall has changed, but it hasn't. It simply feels lighter, as if the building itself is exhaling after a long breath. The woman by the hearth gives a faint nod toward the open door. It's time, she says, her voice barely more than a sigh. Go and see what the sky has forged tonight. You rise quietly, feeling the lingering warmth of the fire against your back. The others remain seated, their faces serene in the golden half-light. They seem to fade into stillness, their shapes blending with the carvings and the soft shadows of the beams. As you step outside, the night embraces you like cool silk. The air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of pine and distant smoke. The moon has drifted higher, pale and calm above the treetops, while 1,000 stars shimmer in quiet constellations. Their light feels ancient and immediate all at once, the forge of creation itself, glowing across the endless expanse. You walk a little way from the hall, your path lit by the gentle pulse of starlight. Behind you, the lamps along the walkway flicker one by one, dimming as if bowing to the night. The world narrows to the sound of your footsteps and the soft rustle of wind through the grass. Ahead lies a small rise, a hill crowned by an old stone altar. Once, long ago, villagers would gather there at midsummer to thank the earth and sky for their gifts. But now it stands silent, visited only by those seeking solitude. You make your way up the gentle slope, each step easing your body deeper into calm. At the top, you find a smooth stone bench facing the open sky. You sit, the cool rock grounding you, steady as a heartbeat. The view spreads wide before you. The village roofs below, the dark outline of the river glimmering faintly, and beyond that, the rolling fields that stretch toward the unseen horizon. A quiet wind moves through the valley, whispering through the grass, bending it in slow waves. You look upward. The stars seem impossibly bright here, crisp and countless. The Milky Way arcs across the heavens like a ribbon of molten silver, flowing from one horizon to the other. You breathe deeply, and for a moment it feels as though time itself pauses. You imagine the blacksmiths who stood here before you, perhaps after long days at the forge, their hands still marked by soot and effort, their hearts full of quiet wonder. They too must have looked up at this same sky, the same constellations glimmering like embers scattered by the gods. You recall the words the old temple guardian spoke. When the work is done, the spirit cools like steel in the quenching trough. Now you understand. This is that cooling, not an ending, but a moment of balance, of perfect stillness before renewal. Your eyes trace the stars, and one begins to move, a soft trail of light, gliding across the heavens before vanishing beyond the hills. A falling star, brief and beautiful. You close your eyes and imagine it striking the earth long ago, leaving behind a piece of iron that one of your ancestors might have found, smelted, shaped, a cosmic gift. Metal born from the stars, returned to the forge by human hands. The thought fills you with warmth. You are part of that same rhythm. Fire and water, earth and sky, creation and rest. Every breath, every heartbeat is another hammer strike, shaping you gently, endlessly. The wind grows softer, slower. The sounds of the night blend into a single harmony. The faint murmur of the river below, the sigh of leaves, the quiet pulse of distant life. Each sound drifts in and out like the rhythm of sleep itself. You lie back on the grass beside the stone, letting your gaze fill with stars. The ground feels cool beneath you, solid and kind. Somewhere in the distance a wolf calls, not in warning but in song. Its voice echoes faintly through the valley, then fades into silence. The sky above seems to lower, the stars gathering closer, brighter, until it feels as if you're lying inside the forge of the cosmos, the place where all things are made and remade in infinite calm. Your body feels weightless now, your thoughts slow to embers. The stars become like tiny breaths, rising and falling in the darkness. You remember the hall behind you, the warmth of the fire, the hum of the craftsman, the woman's final words. The story continues within you, and it does. You can feel it now. The steady rhythm of work and rest, the pulse of creation flowing quietly through every part of you. The world no longer feels separate. The fire of the forge, the chill of the river, the light of the stars, all merge into a single endless calm. You exhale slowly, letting everything drift away. Above you, the night sky remains, vast, patient, eternal. Somewhere, far below, the forge waits for morning. But here, under the quiet watch of the heavens, you are complete. The stars above the forge keep burning, and you too glow softly in their ancient light, peaceful, Still and gently carried toward dreams, a woman looks up from where she's seated, her hair braided with thin copper wire that gleams softly. "Welcome, traveller," she says, her voice warm and even. "The night's long, and the fire still burns." She gestures for you to join them. You do, sitting on a woven mat near the hearth. The warmth touches your skin, deep and soothing after the cool air of the river. The fire's rhythm feels familiar. A steady exhale, a reminder of the forge's glow earlier in your journey. The woman stirs the coals gently, and the sparks rise like golden dust. "Each of us," she says, "is shaped by what we create. The iron learns from the flame, and we learn from both." The others nod silently, their eyes reflecting the fire. One of them, an older man with a beard streaked in grey, holds a small iron ring between his fingers. "This was forged when I was young," he murmurs, "to remind me that what endures is not strength, but patience." You watch as he sets the ring on the table beside him, its surface simple, unadorned but smooth from years of touch. Around the hall, similar tokens rest on shelves and ledges. Tiny sculptures, engraved tools, fragments of old metal that once belonged to ancestors long gone. Each piece tells a story of craft, of time, of quiet dedication. As you listen, you realize this hall is more than a meeting place. It is memory itself, bound in wood and firelight. The people here are not just artisans but keepers of rhythm. The rhythm that links work to rest, effort to peace. The woman beside you pours something from a clay jug into a small cup and offers it. You take a sip, warm, herbal, faintly sweet. The taste is unfamiliar yet soothing, like wildflowers and smoke mingled together. It hums softly through your chest, easing every muscle, quieting your thoughts. "The world outside moves fast," she says, "but here we let time slow to its truest pace, the pace of breath, of heartbeat, of the turning stars." She gestures toward the open window above the hearth. Through it, the night sky stretches vast and clear, constellations shimmering like molten iron scattered across velvet. The firelight flickers in rhythm with the stars, creating a slow dance between heaven and hearth. The bearded man rises and begins to hum, a deep, resonant sound that fills the hall like the echo of an anvil strike slowed to infinity. Others join him, their voices weaving gently together until the room feels wrapped in a sound both ancient and tender. It's not quite song, not quite chant, more like the vibration of memory made audible. Your eyelids grow heavier as you listen. The hum vibrates through the wood, through the floor, through the air itself. Every sound feels purposeful, every silence kind. The woman's voice returns, now softer, almost a whisper. "The forge teaches us how to live," she says, "but the night teaches us how to rest. One without the other cannot endure." The fire sighs, a log settling with a quiet crackle. The humming fades, replaced by the steady rhythm of breath and ember. You feel yourself leaning slightly toward the warmth, as though drawn into the heart of the flame, not to burn, but to dissolve into calm. Your mind drifts. The carvings on the wall seem to shimmer faintly in the firelight. You imagine them coming alive, smiths and artisans moving in slow, graceful gestures, their faces serene as they work not with iron or wood, but with dreams. The woman's voice reaches you one last time before it too blends into the sound of sleep. "When the fire fades," she murmurs, "the story continues within you." You close your eyes, and for a moment, it feels as if the hall is breathing, inhaling, exhaling, in rhythm with your own. The warmth of the hearth lulls your body into stillness. Outside, the river hums softly in the distance, and the stars keep their silent vigil. The Hall of Craftsmen becomes a dream within a dream, timeless, weightless, eternal. The night has deepened. The stars hang lower now, as if leaning close to listen. The forge lies quiet in the valley below, its coals buried under a thin layer of ash. The last traces of heat glow faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat that refuses to fade completely. It is the hour when even the wind seems to move softly, afraid to wake the sleeping world. You stand at the edge of the clearing, your body calm, your thoughts slow. The air tastes faintly of iron and smoke, the remnants of the day's work. The hammer that once rang bright and strong now rests in shadow, its handle warm from the ghost of your touch. You can almost hear the echo of its rhythm, faint but steady, fading into the night like a memory you don't want to lose. In that lingering sound, there is more than labor. There is devotion. Every strike was not just to shape metal, but to bring order to the world, to turn chaos into something that could serve and last. The blacksmith's art is the art of patience, the courage to wait as metal yields, the faith to believe that even the roughest shape will one day shine. You think of the day just past, the smell of burning wood, the bright hiss when steel met water, the dance of sparks like tiny suns escaping into air. You remember the weight of the hammer in your hand, the vibration that traveled through your bones each time it struck, the satisfaction of watching the glow fade into form. Now, in the stillness, those moments replay like fragments of a dream. You realize they were never about power, but rhythm, the rhythm of breath and flame, of creation and rest. You had not been conquering the metal, you had been conversing with it, listening to its quiet language. And now that the fire sleeps, that conversation continues in silence. A soft wind drifts down from the hills, carrying with it the faint murmur of the forest. The trees sway slowly, their branches brushing against one another with the sound of whispered gratitude. Even the earth seems to hum with the residue of the day, a deep, steady tone that fills the spaces between thoughts. You close your eyes and breathe deeply. The cool night air enters your chest, bringing clarity. The exhale carries warmth and calm. With each breath, the boundary between body and world grows thinner. You are no longer merely standing in the forge's shadow. You are part of its stillness, part of the story it tells without words. In your mind, you can see the faint glow of the workshop's interior, the anvil gleaming in moonlight, the walls lined with simple tools, each one worn to comfort by years of touch. Nothing extravagant, nothing wasted, just purpose, built through patience and time. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf calls, not sharply, but in a slow, echoing cry that folds itself into the hills. It sounds less like warning and more like acknowledgement, a reminder that even in the quiet, life continues its eternal rhythm. And so you whisper back, almost without thinking, a quiet acknowledgement. I hear you. The moment feels eternal, as though the veil between past and present has thinned. You can sense the countless hands that once shaped this same earth, the flicker of their fires, the laughter that rose after long days, the shared meals, the stories told before sleep. All of it continues, not in books or monuments, but in the quiet rhythm of living things. The night grows even softer now. The stars seem to draw nearer, each one a gentle pulse in the endless dark. It feels as though time itself is exhaling, content. You are part of that breath, a keeper of a craft older than memory, a dreamer in a world shaped by unseen lives. As the mist swirls and the last coals fade, you begin to understand. Survival was never only about strength, it was about gentleness, the quiet endurance of those who created beauty from the rawness of the world. Their voices fade again, merging into the wind. But they leave behind something deeper than sound, a stillness that feels like belonging. The forge may have cooled, but its spirit glows on, alive in every spark of memory, every heartbeat that slows toward rest. And as you breathe out, calm and steady, the night hums softly around you, a song for all who once were, and for you who now remembers. The world has fallen utterly silent now. The forge no longer hums, the village sleeps, and even the wind has quieted into a soft sigh between the trees. You stand alone at the edge of the meadow, gazing at the faint glow of dawn gathering on the horizon. The night feels endless, yet you can sense its slow surrender, the graceful yielding of darkness to light. In the hush, time itself seems to breathe differently. You feel its weight, not as a burden, but as a presence, vast and forgiving. Every moment that has ever passed, every life that has ever been lived, seems to converge here in this still place. The faint shimmer of dew upon the grass mirrors, the stars fading above, as though the heavens have stooped low to rest upon the earth. You close your eyes, and for a moment, it feels as if you can see through centuries. You glimpse the countless mornings that came before, blacksmiths stoking fires long gone cold, mothers carrying water from distant wells, children chasing the first light of day. They all move slowly, peacefully, within the same quiet rhythm you now inhabit. It is as if the world has always been preparing for this pause, this deep, tender moment where all sound softens into memory. The air holds the scent of iron and smoke, faint but enduring, like a signature left by time. You trace your hand over the wooden beam of the workshop beside you, its surface rough but warm from years of use. You imagine how many hands touched it before yours, steadying themselves after long days, leaning upon it as they watch their breath rise in the cold air. The beam has endured the weight of storms and seasons, but it also carries the tenderness of touch, the quiet persistence of those who refuse to let their craft be forgotten. The blacksmith's world, you realize, was never meant to dazzle. It was meant to endure. Every nail forged, every blade tempered, every tool shaped was an act of devotion, not to power, but to purpose. The hammer did not strike to conquer, but to connect. And though centuries have passed, that same rhythm still beats faintly within your chest. The echo fades slowly, blending into the low murmur of the wind. The forge grows quiet again, but the warmth remains. You set the hammer down and watch the flames settle into a steady glow, its rhythm mirroring your breath. The world feels perfectly balanced now, not alive with noise, not heavy with silence, but poised in peaceful stillness. Outside, the first rays of sunlight spill across the threshold, illuminating the tools, the bench, the coals. Every object seems touched by grace, worn but enduring, silent but full of meaning. You realize that this place, like all of history, is both fragile and eternal. It lives on, not in the materials it shaped, but in the quiet persistence of those who cared. The forge was never just a workplace. It was a promise that creation, no matter how small, brings light into the world. And now, as you sit beside its fading glow, that promise lingers in your breath, your heartbeat, your calm. The flame dwindles, returning to a single ember once more. You watch it pulse gently, slow and steady, until even that light begins to dim. But you are not sad. You know that the ember does not die. It sleeps, waiting for the next dawn, the next hand, the next story. And as the last warmth fades against your palm, you exhale softly, carrying its legacy forward in silence. The forge is quiet now. The last ember has faded into a faint glow beneath the ash, like the final heartbeat of a dream. The air is cool, carrying with it the scent of dawn, fresh, clean, touched by the earth. You step outside once more, leaving the workshop behind, and the world meets you in stillness. The village rests beneath a pale morning sky. Wisps of mist curl around the rooftops, drifting slowly across the fields. A distant river hums softly, its voice low and eternal. The light of early day stretches across the ground like a soft blanket, warming the dew and waking the colors of the world. Yet everything remains unhurried. Each sound, each shimmer, each breath unfolding at the gentlest possible pace. You stand at the edge of the path and look back once more at the forge. It looks smaller now, quieter, as if it has become part of the land itself. A memory rather than a place. The walls glow faintly under the rising sun, their rough stones gleaming like the skin of something ancient and alive. You know that, long after your footsteps fade, this place will remain, not in its shape perhaps, but in the quiet rhythm it leaves behind. You close your eyes and listen. The hammer's echo, the sound of breath and flame, the hum of life itself, all have softened into silence. Yet within that silence there is no emptiness, only peace, the kind of peace that belongs to things that have endured everything and need endure no more. You think of the blacksmith, of the countless days spent in repetition, in patience, in trust. His work was never about the sparks that flew from the anvil. It was about what remained after they were gone. The strength that lingers in the hands, the beauty of imperfection, the quiet joy of having shaped something lasting. In this stillness, you begin to feel that same rhythm inside yourself, the steady rise and fall of your breath, the calm beat of your heart. Each moment softens into the next, until you are no longer just standing in the dawn. You are part of it. The light that fills the air feels like an extension of your own warmth. The world breathes with you. Time has lost its edges now. The difference between past and present fades. You feel the centuries folding gently together. The hum of old forges, the laughter of long-gone voices, the whisper of winds that have touched both iron and skin. Everything that was ever made, ever lived, ever loved. It all drifts together here, in this quiet space where nothing is lost, only transformed. You breathe in slowly. The dawn light spreads further, painting the fields in pale gold. Birds stir within the hedges, and the first notes of morning song begin to ripple through the silence. It feels less like awakening and more like remembering, as if the world has never truly slept, only rested, waiting for the moment to begin again. The weight of time is not heavy now. It is soft, like a blanket woven from the breath of all who lived before. You can feel their presence not as ghosts, but as warmth. The lingering glow of the forge carried through the ages. Each moment, each action, each spark was never lost. It simply became part of the quiet hum that keeps the world turning. You realize that you too have been forged, shaped by unseen hands of time, by lessons unspoken, by histories that whisper through your veins. The realization brings peace, not sadness. You are part of an unbroken line, a living continuation of 1,000 forgotten stories. The horizon brightens now. The fields shimmer with morning mist. The blacksmith's hammer has fallen silent, yet its echo remains in your heartbeat, steady and calm. The past does not vanish. It transforms into memory, into rhythm, into sleep. And so you stand there, breathing softly, as the night folds itself away, and the first light of day warms your skin. The world has turned once more. Time, in all its endless motion, feels still. You are not separate from it. You are home within it, a quiet soul resting in the embrace of history, waiting gently for dreams to take hold. The dawn glows gently across the quiet village, and you find yourself drawn once more toward the forge, the heart of so many days, so many labors, so many moments of warmth and rhythm. The air is cool, yet the stones still hold a trace of yesterday's heat. You step inside, and the silence here feels sacred, like entering a chapel built not of stone and prayer, but of soot, steel, and memory. The forge stands empty, its coals now grey and still, yet in their quiet remains a strange kind of life, a hidden warmth that seems to hum softly beneath the ash. You kneel beside it, brushing the dust with your fingertips. It crumbles like ancient snow, yet a faint shimmer catches your eye, a single ember glowing deep within the darkness. It flickers slowly, pulsing like a heartbeat. You lean closer, and as you do, the memory of the fire begins to return. Not through sound or light, but through feeling. The air thickens with the faint scent of metal and smoke. For a moment, you imagine you hear the echo of hammer against anvil, slow and steady, like a drumbeat beneath the earth. It is not the sound of work now, but of remembrance. That ember, you realize, has survived countless nights just like this. It is the spirit of every hand that has ever tended the flame. It carries within it the patience of the blacksmith, the faith of those who built before they could see the outcome, the resilience of time itself. You reach out and gently feed the ember with a wisp of straw, watching as it brightens. The glow spreads, faint but sure, like a whispered promise that nothing truly ends. It only changes form. The warmth brushes your face, soft and alive. As the tiny flame grows, shadows stretch along the walls. They no longer feel cold or lonely. They dance slowly, tenderly, like ghosts made of light. You imagine them, the figures who once worked here, their faces calm, their eyes steady, their movements patient and sure. They do not look at you as a stranger. They nod quietly, as if recognizing you as one of their own. The hammer rests upon its block, its handle worn smooth by years of use. You lift it, feeling its weight, not as a burden, but as a memory passed down through time. It feels right in your hand, balanced, familiar. You strike once, gently, upon the anvil, a soft note that rings through the still morning air. The sound is pure and calm, carrying no urgency, no demand. It is simply an acknowledgement, a way of saying, I remember. The echo fades slowly, blending into the low murmur of the wind. The forge grows quiet again, but the warmth remains. You set the hammer down and watch the flame settle into a steady glow, its rhythm mirroring your breath. The world feels perfectly balanced now, not alive with noise, not heavy with silence, but poised in peaceful stillness. Outside, the first rays of sunlight spill across the threshold, illuminating the tools, the bench, the coals. Every object seems touched by grace, worn but enduring, silent but full of meaning. You realize that this place, like all of history, is both fragile and eternal. It lives on not in the materials it shaped, but in the quiet persistence of those who cared. The forge was never just a workplace, it was a promise. That creation, no matter how small, brings light into the world. And now, as you sit beside its fading glow, that promise lingers in your breath, your heartbeat, your calm. The flame dwindles, returning to a single ember once more. You watch it pulse gently, slow and steady, until even that light begins to dim. But you are not sad. You know that the ember does not die. It sleeps, waiting for the next dawn, the next hand, the next story. And as the last warmth fades against your palm, you exhale softly, carrying its legacy forward in silence. This final part brings the story to full stillness. A meditative close where time, memory, and breath merge into one gentle sleep-inducing rhythm. Section 5, Part 5, The Silence of Time. The forge is quiet now. The last ember has faded into a faint glow beneath the ash, like the final heartbeat of a dream. The air is cool, carrying with it the scent of dawn, fresh, clean, touched by the earth. You step outside once more, leaving the workshop behind, and the world meets you in stillness. The village rests beneath a pale morning sky. Wisps of mist curl around the rooftops, drifting slowly across the fields. A distant river hums softly, its voice low and eternal. The light of early day stretches across the ground like a soft blanket, warming the dew and waking the colors of the world. Yet everything remains unhurried. Each sound, each shimmer, each breath unfolding at the gentlest possible pace. You stand at the edge of the path and look back once more at the forge. It looks smaller now, quieter, as if it has become part of the land itself. A memory rather than a place. The walls glow faintly under the rising sun, their rough stones gleaming like the skin of something ancient and alive. You know that, long after your footsteps fade, this place will remain, not in its shape perhaps, but in the quiet rhythm it leaves behind. You close your eyes and listen. The hammer's echo, the sound of breath and flame, the hum of life itself, all have softened into silence. Yet within that silence there is no emptiness, only peace, the kind of peace that belongs to things that have endured everything and need endure no more. You think of the blacksmith, of the countless days spent in repetition, in patience, in trust. His work was never about the sparks that flew from the anvil. It was about what remained after they were gone. The strength that lingers in the hands, the beauty of imperfection, the quiet joy of having shaped something lasting. In this stillness, you begin to feel that same rhythm inside yourself, the steady rise and fall of your breath, the calm beat of your heart. Each moment softens into the next, until you are no longer just standing in the dawn. You are part of it. The light that fills the air feels like an extension of your own warmth. The world breathes with you. Time has lost its edges now. The difference between past and present fades. You feel the centuries folding gently together. The hum of old forges, the laughter of long-gone voices, the whisper of winds that have touched both iron and skin. Everything that was ever made, ever lived, ever loved. It all drifts together here, in this quiet space where nothing is lost, only transformed. The silence deepens, but it does not press or weigh. It holds you softly, like a blanket drawn over weary shoulders. The stars above fade one by one, retreating into the soft blue of morning, yet you can still feel their presence. Distant, watching, eternal. The world is awake again, but you are allowed to rest. You lie back in the grass, the earth cool and welcoming beneath you. The sounds of life, A bird's first song, a distant door opening, drift past like echoes from another world. They belong to the waking, but you are somewhere else now. A quiet place between memory and dream, where all is gentle and all is forgiven. The forge, the village, the centuries themselves seem to dissolve into air. What remains is warmth, stillness, peace. The slow breath of the universe moving through you, and in that final hush, as you drift towards sleep, you understand. Time never truly ends. It only changes form, like flame becoming ember, ember becoming light, and light becoming dream. You are safe. You are still. You are home within the silence of time. The world has grown soft now. The forge, the fields, the quiet hum of the blacksmith's life. They all fade into a gentle haze, as though wrapped in mist. You can still sense them faintly, as echoes from another time, but they are distant now, dissolving like the last sparks of a dying ember. All that remains is warmth. The same warmth that once lived in the glow of the fire now lingers in your chest. Steady, peaceful, alive. You take a slow breath in and let it go. The air feels cool against your skin, touched by the first light of morning. The horizon glows softly, not bright, not sharp, just a pale gold that blends with the lingering blue of night. The world is waking, but you are still drifting, caught between history and dream. The blacksmith's forge is behind you now, its soundless rhythm carried within your heartbeat. The hammer's song, the sigh of the bellows, the hum of the earth. They have all become part of your breath. The journey is complete. There is nowhere left to go, nothing left to do. You have walked through centuries, stepped across the worn stones of time, and watched the simple beauty of creation unfold. The lives you glimpsed, the workers, the travellers, the dreamers. They were not separate from you. They were reflections, gentle reminders of what it means to endure, to create, to rest. And now, at the end of this long road, all that remains is stillness. You feel it in your body, the slow settling of weight, the release of effort. Your shoulders sink deeper, relaxed. Your hands loosen. Your legs feel heavy, safe. Every part of you softens with each passing breath. The world around you hums quietly, a lullaby of distant sounds. A slow breeze moving through tall grass, the whisper of unseen wings, the faint echo of morning birds too far to disturb your rest. The earth itself feels alive beneath you, pulsing with the same gentle rhythm that flows through your breath. You are no longer walking now. You are floating, suspended between the past and the present, wrapped in a calm that asks for nothing more. The story has ended, but its peace remains, like the glow of a candle that continues to warm the air long after the flame is gone. You breathe again, in through the nose, out through the mouth, slowly, gently, effortlessly. With each breath, the sounds of the forge grow fainter. The walls of the workshop dissolve into air. The tools vanish into mist. The world itself becomes lighter, softer, until you can no longer tell where the story ends and your breath begins. Your mind drifts back to the warmth of the fire, not to the work or the sound, but to the feeling. That steady hum that once filled the quiet nights. The flame represented more than labour. It was a pulse of life, an unspoken prayer that all things made with care will last, in one form or another. You carry that warmth now, in your chest, in your breath, in the space between your thoughts. You are both the blacksmith and the spark, both the hands that shaped and the fire that gave form. And as you lie in stillness, you understand that the past is not something distant. It is something that lives within every quiet breath, every moment of rest, every dream you allow yourself to drift into. The mist deepens around you, though it no longer feels like fog or air. It feels like time itself, folding gently over you. You can almost see the world dissolving, the forge, the village, the river, the hills, all of it slipping away, becoming light. The centuries fade into one another until there is nothing left but the pulse of the universe, soft and steady, like the rhythm of sleep. Let it carry you. Let it guide you deeper. You are safe here. You are calm here. You are home here. Those words linger in the air, repeating slowly, almost as though spoken by the wind itself. Each time they echo, your breath deepens. Each time they fade, your body grows heavier. You are not falling. You are floating, gently, weightlessly, downward into peace. The fire inside you flickers low now, not fading, only dimming, resting. Its warmth settles into your bones, soft and kind. You feel it spreading through your arms, your chest, your legs. A wave of comfort that whispers, rest now. The hammer's echo is gone. The blacksmith's day has ended. The forge is quiet, and so is your mind. You have reached the still point, that space beyond effort, beyond thought where only calm remains. If you listen closely, you may still hear something, a faint hum, a deep silence, the breath of the world itself. It is not asking you to wake. It is asking you to rest. The journey is complete. The past is at peace. The world is still turning, slow and sure as it always has. And you too are turning, gently, towards sleep. Let go. Let everything soften. Let your mind drift where it wishes. The forge fades. The fields dissolve. The horizon blurs into light. You are not leaving. You are arriving. Arriving in that quiet place where dream and history meet. You are safe. You are calm. You are home. And as you breathe once more, deeply and slowly, the last remnants of the waking world melt away, leaving only silence, peace, and the glow of your own quiet flame, steady, warm, eternal.